channel. Today we're going to have a really meaningful episode to me. We're going to do another episode of Ask Mona. This is episode number 4. And I really do love to get all of your questions and understand what you guys are struggling with or whatever you need advice on. So please don't forget to comment below all of your questions you have, or you can DM me, email me, but the best way to get your questions answered is just to comment down below. So before we get started, please don't forget to like this video if you enjoy the content, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We're at almost 30,000 followers, which I'm super excited about. We're building an amazing community here on YouTube and all the other platforms as well. So thank you so much, everyone who is here. So let's get started. Question number 1, do you ever have low self-esteem days, and what do you do when this happens? Of course I have low self-esteem days. Everybody does. Every single human on the planet has days where they're up, where they're down. Sometimes they're in the same day, sometimes the same hour. It's normal. We're in a crazy world with everything that's going on with social media, with pressure in life, with COVID, with the news. Like, it's very normal for us to feel intense emotions and feel them often, and for them to change frequently. So if you're having a bad day where you're not feeling good about yourself, I think the number one thing you should do is, first of all, don't be hard on yourself. It's definitely normal. Don't think, oh, why do I feel this way? Everybody else feels so good. Trust me, a lot of people don't feel good. And even if they're pretending they do, like, even on the days where I'm feeling crappy, I don't tell everybody how I'm feeling because I don't want to bring them down, or I don't want to, I just want to try and like get through my day. But deep down inside, I do have those days, and people around you are probably having the same, but not everyone is going to open up to every single person they see and tell them how they're really feeling because we're busy. Right? So don't, just understand that you're not the only one going through this. Check in with yourself and reflect, like, what are you feeling down about? And it could be a whole bunch of things. It could be one big thing. It could be many things. But again, like, I am a big believer in writing things out and understand that, there are solutions to everything. Like, literally every problem, everything that's bothering you has a solution. And also understand that life is a process. Like, nothing's going to happen overnight, and once you solve one thing, there's going to be a new challenge, and that's a part of life. Like, we're never going to have no problems or no area where we want to improve in our lives. It's a part of being a human being. We can sometimes be really hard on ourselves, and that's usually when we develop a low self-esteem. But you have to remember to be kind to yourself. You have to have a positive attitude, and it's the only way you're going to get to where you want to go. If you allow yourself to just feel bad about yourself and have a low self-esteem for a long period of time, you're going to deplete the energy that you actually need to get to your goals and to feel better. How do I know when it's the right time to make a career change or leave my current job? This is tough, I think, because most people, no matter what, will always second guess whether or not they're in the right career or job. Spend so much time at work. Usually it's about 8 to 9 to 10 to even 12 hours of our day. So it's such a big part of our lives. So unless you're doing something that's really meaningful, it's very hard to feel like you're fully committed. And I think no matter what, even if you're on your own path and you have your own company, you will always have moments where you second guess yourself, because we're dynamic, we're human beings, so we change our minds all the time. Things come up, and it's very natural to question. I think it's the right time to know that you need to make an actual change when you feel super demotivated all the time. Like, if you feel demotivated one day a week, or like occasionally here and there, that's normal. Even I feel that way sometimes. Yeah, it's very normal to feel it once a month or every now and then. Even like once a week, it's fine to feel flat every now and then. But if you feel this way daily, and it's actually rare for you to feel motivated, then I think it's time to make a change. And whether that means speaking to your boss about finding ways to get more motivated at your current job, or completely changing your career path, it's definitely time for a change. And I think, just being someone who has experience working with a team and managing a team and having a leadership position, I really appreciate when people tell me how they feel, so we can have an open conversation and figure out, maybe there are ways to make your job better and make you feel more motivated. So it depends on the relationship you have with your management. If you're in a toxic environment and you don't have the opportunity to say how you feel, that's really unfortunate. And I think that, it's probably a sign that you do need to find somewhere else that has a good environment and is going to nurture who you are and nurture your strengths and your skills to really develop who you are. So if you're feeling demotivated and flat, 90% of the time or even 80% of the time, you need to make a change. Actually, if you're feeling it more than 50% of the time, you need to make a change. And again, it doesn't mean you have to change your job, but you need to make a change and figure out a different way of working. And it could be a different role, it could be a different manager, a different department, but change it up. And never be afraid to speak to people, a mentor, hopefully within your organization, but even outside your organization. There's a lot of people who always want to share advice and to help people. So, speak up and dig in deep. And I think the best way to figure out what your calling is to really just experience as much as you can in life and try to get as much variety as possible. So next question, do you keep helping people that don't want to help themselves, or do you let them? Ooh, this is a tough question because I feel like my role in life has always been like the fixer, the saver, the person who wants to help everyone. And until recently, I loved that about myself, and I still love it about myself, but I realized it's actually not healthy because you can't force people to change themselves. Like, change really does come from within, and I think you can do your best. You can try to share as much as you can with people to give them awareness about the answers to their problems or solutions, or try to give them what they need to help themselves. But from my own experiences, you cannot help people help themselves. They have to do it on their own. You can give them tools, you can really just give them awareness, but if they don't want to help themselves, nothing you do is going to solve it. They have to be ready. And I've learned that the hard way of just repeated frustration of just wanting to change people and wanting to help them and wanting them to be different for themselves, but it doesn't work, and it made me very, very exhausted. You really have to let people go on their own journey, so do what you can, be as supportive as you can, but do not have expectations that that's going to result in that person changing their life if they're not ready. It's just, timing is everything. Next question is, do you have any advice on gaining financial independence to get away from a toxic family? Okay, there's two parts to this question. There's financial independence, and there's getting away from a toxic family. So number one, I think you should always try to have financial independence, whether or not you have a toxic family. You need it even more so when you have a toxic family, because you don't want to be at their mercy, and you don't want to have to live with them or depend on them or even deal with them, depending on how toxic they are. But I do believe in being financially independent. So it's tough, it's really hard to manage our finances in life, no matter how much money you make. We're always tempted to spend more, and that's the world we live in. It's a very consumer-driven world, and try to figure out a plan and map it out. Take whatever you are earning and see what is realistically available for you to save, and create a savings plan, and research online different ways of saving. Honestly, interest rates are not great with banks, so could you invest your money in the stock market? Even if it's a couple $100s per month, could you invest it? If you can, fantastic, because you're going to have a much better return. Even if you're just investing in the S&P 500 or one of these one of the big buckets on the stock market, if you do that, you're probably going to make a lot more money than you're going to make in a bank. So with interest rates. So I think just figure out an amount that you can save and be disciplined. I realized myself, I've had moments where I'm I'm going to challenge myself not to buy a single new thing for months. I've done it, I think at one point it was 4 or 5 months. I was nothing, absolutely nothing. Can I actually do this? And I was able to. I was most of the times when we spend on new things, or even going out to eat, or whatever it is, experiences, whatever, we don't have to do it. And if you're going to take the value of your independence versus the value of all these things, trust me, nothing is worth your independence and your well-being. And if you have a toxic family, my heart goes out to you, because it's horrible and it's very challenging. And I think to some degree we all have challenges within our families, no matter what. Even if the family looks perfect from the outside, there's always so many challenges inside. And families are hard, they're the most dysfunctional team or or organization I think there are on the planet. Like no matter what, like it's a hard thing. It's like people living together and making it work with so many different personalities and different roles. You know, it really is. It is like something you have to constantly work at to have a positive environment. So if you have a challenging family, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that you guys get help and you get therapy, get counseling. It's so helpful. And I'm a big believer in having like mediation and people helping you get through your problems. And if, you know, people are not willing to do that, I also, you know, I'm sorry, like you're going through this. Try to get the help, try to get the financial independence, and just remember, be disciplined. Like it's never fun to save money, but you'll be so grateful in the long term that you are able to value your well-being over things. Things come and go, and trust me, with all the temptations you have, and I've had those temptations too, where I'm like, no, this is one time to buy this thing, or this is on sale and it's such a great price. Like no matter what the temptation is, like don't put it ahead of your well-being. Nothing is worth it. Next question. Oh, advice on saving money. Okay, so this question came up again. So prioritize saving your money. Like pretend a certain chunk, whatever you can save, pretend it doesn't even exist. Like whatever you're earning, whether it's like, let's just say you're earning $2,000 a month. If you can save $500 a month, I know it's a lot, just pretend it doesn't even exist. Pretend it's part of your taxes that are being taken out or whatever, and just do all of your planning based on whatever's remaining. And whatever, if it is possible, like please don't use credit cards. Credit cards are literally like the worst thing ever. If you're not paying them in full per month, you're getting robbed of your money. And I've been in credit card debt, especially when I first became self-employed, and like my salary, my income was very unstable for many months. Like clients weren't paying me on time. It was like a very challenging time financially in the first few years. And credit card debt is almost impossible to get out of because the interest rates are crazy high, and then you get trapped. So whatever, if you're not in credit card debt yet, please take my advice. Do not get into it. Only spend what you can pay in full. And I only do that now to get points to make money off of spending money. But if you're not able to do that, just don't even get into it. Just pay things through your debit card or whatever, you know, and just say no to things. Like, again, make the habit. Everything is a muscle. Being disciplined financially is a muscle. You have to build it, and every time you say no to buying something you don't need, you're building that muscle. So just think of it that way. Next question, which I love actually, it says, how to deal with family and society pressure on getting married. Now I love this question because I've dealt with this for such a long time. I'm 35, not married, come from a Middle Eastern family. You know, the pressure is beyond real. It's crazy. And for the longest time, it actually bothered me a lot. I'd say until a couple years ago, where I was just like, you know what, I'm not even gonna, like, it's gonna go in one ear and out the other. Like, it's not even gonna faze me, because you have to realize, like, even once you get married, the next pressure is gonna be on, like, when are you gonna have kids? When are your kids gonna, like, go to a good school? Like, the pressure will always be there. So you just have to learn to phase out society pressure, whether it's about getting married, going to college, finding your career, being successful, whatever, having children, like whatever these pressures are, just let them in one ear and out the other, and realize that most of these people who are pressuring you are not happy themselves. And I hate to say this, but like, I remember like a while back, you know, this woman who I love, who's a total sweetheart, but she was like, you know, oh, I can't wait to see you get married and be happy. And I was like, what? Get married and be happy? Like, what makes you think I'm not happy right now? You know, and if you can't be happy right now, trust me, a marriage isn't going to make you happy. A car isn't going to make you happy. A dream house is not going to make you happy. If you're not able to be happy with where you are right now, no circumstance is going to change it, because happiness is really a mindset. And, you know, those same people who are pressuring me are, honestly, 90% of people I know who are in marriages are struggling. Some of them are getting divorced. Some of them are, like, just not happy. Like, most people, unless they're actively working hard at having a very good relationship, it's not going to be a good relationship. So there is no, like, there's no solution that's going to fix your life. If you're single and you're not married and you think that marriage is going to make your life better, trust me, it's not. And for the longest time, I did allow that pressure to try and push me into making bad decisions. And I do feel it's the reason why I rushed into my last engagement. It was because of society pressure, family pressure, and if I'm honest, in my gut, I knew it was the wrong decision, and I knew it was like not the right person for me, but I let all this pressure push me into rushing into something that honestly there were 1,000 red flags that it was not the right decision, and I lied to myself because of society pressure, which of course I don't regret it because I learned from it, but I'm just so grateful that I didn't allow myself to move forward into a marriage that would have definitely ended in a divorce. So the last question is how to practice gratitude. Number one, just always realize there's so much to be grateful for at every moment, even your worst times, and even like when people reject you, even when you fail. In every situation, there's something to be grateful for. There's actually, I think it's a surah in the Quran. It says, if you are grateful, I will give you more. And it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God. And I strongly believe in that. Like every time I start trying to focus on being grateful for everything, like, I mean, even the worst things that have happened to me. And I'm just like, thank you, God. Thank you for sharing this with me as an experience, as a lesson, as a blessing in disguise. It's so funny because I magically, like the world just magically makes that into a positive situation. And you find out, I think your brain just finds all the positive and the good in everything. And the more grateful you are, the more positive things you're going to attract into your life. And I also believe, even at your worst times, you have to remember that there are people who would die to be in your shoes. Like literally, there are people who are so sad, but there are people who are starving to death. There are people who can't even have water. There are people who have horrible circumstances in this world, and it's so sad, and I pray for them every day. But I also, every time I'm feeling down about my life, I'm like, how do people wish they could be in my shoes? How much I wish I could be in my shoes 10 years ago? Like, I dreamt of this life that I have now. But we get so ungrateful so fast. We forget where we came from. We forget, what we didn't have a year ago, a month ago even. Like, we forget. So it's really important that you remind yourself that even though you're going through a tough time and you're feeling down or whatever it is, like, remind yourself that gratitude is so important. There was another quote I read a while ago, and it was like, imagine waking up with only the things you thank God for the night before. And I was like, like when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to start like being more grateful and mentioning and thanking God for every single thing in my life. So just try to practice that mindset of gratitude. Write things down that you're grateful for. I do that all the time. Like, I will literally write out things line by line, and it can be the smallest things to the biggest thing. It could be like big things like my health, my family, whatever. Small things like, I'm so grateful for, the fact that I can smell, I can see. I mean, those are big things, but I'm grateful that this person was so kind to me today. I'm grateful that, I was able to help this person today. Like, very, very granular things that, maybe I would overlook if I wasn't trying to think of all the things that made me happy that day. But when you sit and you think about it, there's just endless things to be grateful for. Okay. And again, like everything else, I know I'm probably going to drive you guys crazy from saying this, but gratitude is a muscle, discipline is a muscle. Like, these are all muscles that you build, and the more you practice them, the stronger they become. So you have to practice just using that gratitude muscle, and the more you do, the more you're going to just remember to be grateful all the time. Life is all about repeating behaviors to create strength. When you think about, going to the gym, you think going to the gym one day is going to make a change? Of course not. We all know that's not true. Same thing with practicing gratitude. You think practice gratitude one day you're going to become more grateful? No, you have to do it every day, or at least 4 or 5 times a week to create that muscle. So think of it that way. And I hope you guys are able to create rituals into your life to remind you to practice gratitude and everything we talked about today. I hope this video was helpful, and I'm grateful for all of you and all of your questions, and I hope that they help you in any single way. And I'm just happy I made this video. As always, we like to end the video with a quote, even though I said quite a few already. So for today's quote of the day, it says, gratitude helps you fall in love with the life you have already. And I love this quote so much because honestly, I think our nature is always to be very blah and not grateful and very like, you just get so used to things and you take things for granted. But you have to work against your human nature and force yourself to be so grateful for everything. And every time I try to turn that switch on of being like, what am I grateful for? I'm like, I'm so happy. Even in my worst times, even when I'm like literally going from like the lowest low, as soon as I remind myself, I'm like, I'm gonna shut up now and I'm gonna be so grateful to the universe, to God, for putting me in my life that I have and for helping me create what I'm doing. So flip on that switch, be grateful, and trust me, your life will just, you'll fall in love with your life again. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for all your questions. I really, really love getting all the questions you guys have. Please don't forget to like this video and comment down below any questions you have or any feedback you have on this video, and please subscribe to my channel. Love you guys so much. Bye!